He never expected a routine day at the gym to turn his life upside down. Mike, a single dad juggling work, kids, and bills, was just trying to squeeze in a quick workout before picking up his daughter. But as he headed toward the locker room, he caught a glimpse of someone he would never forget, a powerful, sharp-dressed CEO, completely off guard. In a private moment that no one else was supposed to see, Mike froze, unsure whether to look away or pretend nothing happened. That split second changed everything. What happened next would test his instincts, his morals, and his understanding of luck. The CEO, someone whose decisions could affect thousands of lives, now had an unintentional witness. And Mike, an ordinary man with ordinary problems, suddenly found himself tangled in a world he had never imagined, a world of high stakes, secrets, and unexpected opportunities. In the moments that followed, Mike didn't know if this encounter would ruin him, make him, or change his perspective on life forever. Every decision he made from that point on would be crucial, and as the story unfolds, you'll see how a single accident in the wrong place at the wrong time can lead to life-altering consequences. Mike couldn't stop thinking about what he had seen. Back at home, after tucking his daughter into bed, he replayed the moment over and over in his mind. Who was this CEO? Really? Why had he been at that gym at the same time? Mike's life had always been predictable: work, kids, and the occasional weekend trip to recharge. But now it felt like the world had shifted without warning. He remembered the way the CEO had moved, the subtle confidence, the kind of presence that made people listen without words. Mike wasn't naive. He knew the man commanded power, influence, and resources that he could only dream of. And yet, in that brief encounter, something had connected, not between them personally, but between the ordinary and the extraordinary, the everyday struggle of a single dad and the high-stakes world of business decisions that shaped thousands of lives. Questions raced through Mike's mind. Could this accidental glimpse change anything for him? Or would it bring trouble he wasn't ready for? Something about that moment felt like the start of a chain reaction, one he couldn't ignore even if he wanted to. Every time he thought he was done worrying, a new detail emerged, hinting that this story was far bigger than just a chance meeting. The next morning, Mike found it hard to focus at work. Every email, every meeting, felt meaningless compared to the memory of that accidental encounter. He kept glancing at his phone, half expecting a message from the CEO, or maybe a warning that he shouldn't have seen what he did. The ordinary hum of office life suddenly seemed suffocating. Meanwhile, the CEO, whose name Mike later learned was Jonathan Reed, had no idea that his private moment had been witnessed. But in a city where everyone is connected, secrets rarely stay hidden. Mike began noticing subtle changes. A car that seemed to follow him on his way to pick up his daughter, unexpected calls from unknown numbers, and curious glances at the grocery store. He couldn't tell if it was paranoia or the beginning of something much bigger. Home. Mike struggled to maintain normalcy for his daughter. She needed him, unaware of the tension creeping into his life. He wondered how a single moment could ripple across worlds so different from each other: the quiet, messy reality of a single dad versus the high-polished life of a CEO making decisions worth millions. And then, an email appeared in his inbox that would test everything. A simple subject line with just one word: watch. Mike hesitated. Should he open it? Whatever was inside promised to pull him deeper into a story far bigger than he ever imagined. Mike stared at the email for what felt like hours, his finger hovering over the mouse. Watch. That single word sent a shiver down his spine. He couldn't tell if it was a threat, a test, or something else entirely. The hum of his apartment felt louder than usual, and even the laughter of his daughter on the other side of the door seemed distant. Curiosity finally won. He clicked, and a video began to play. The footage was subtle at first, clips of Jonathan Reed making decisions, signing deals, shaking hands with powerful people, but soon, Mike realized it wasn't just about business. There were moments captured that hinted at secrets, mistakes, and vulnerabilities that no one outside Reed's inner circle should have known. The weight of what he was seeing made Mike's chest tighten. If anyone knew he had this, it could change everything: his life, his daughter's safety, even his freedom. The days that followed were a blur of tension. Strange messages arrived on his phone, and he noticed unfamiliar faces near his apartment. At work, he grew paranoid, jumping at every knock on the door. Every choice he made seemed to carry enormous consequences. Mike knew he was on the edge of something that could define the rest of his life. One wrong move could shatter the fragile balance between ordinary life and the dangerous world he had accidentally stumbled into. The moment of reckoning was approaching, and there was no turning back. Just when Mike thought he had a handle on the situation, his phone buzzed again, this time with a message from an unknown number. You shouldn't be watching. Panic surged through him. The apartment suddenly felt smaller, heavier, as if the walls themselves were closing in. He glanced at his daughter, playing innocently across the room, and a sinking realization hit him. Whatever he had stumbled into wasn't just about business secrets, it was personal. The next day, Mike arrived at work to find a mysterious envelope waiting on his desk. Inside were photos of him leaving the gym, entering the locker room, even moments from his home. Someone had been watching him long before the email. The stakes had escalated far beyond a chance glimpse at a CEO's private life. Now, it wasn't just about curiosity or opportunity, it was about survival. Confused, Mike wondered who he could trust. His colleagues seemed normal, but the paranoia gnawed at him. Every glance felt like a test, every sound a potential warning. And then, another twist shook him. A familiar voice on a call he didn't recognize, Jonathan Reed himself. Calm, but ominous, asking to meet. Mike knew that meeting could be the turning point. One wrong move, and the ordinary life he fought to protect could vanish in an instant. He was trapped between choices that could either save him or destroy everything he held dear. Mike stepped into the sleek, glass-walled office, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. Jonathan Reed sat behind the desk, calm and commanding as ever. But there was something in his eyes, a flicker of curiosity, almost amusement. "I know what you've seen," Reed said, his voice low but steady, "and I know what you've been through since." For a moment, Mike froze, unsure whether he was about to be threatened or rewarded. Then Reed leaned forward and revealed the truth. The video, the messages, the surveillance, it had all been a test, a way to find someone honest, capable of handling unexpected pressure. Mike, an ordinary single dad, had passed in ways Reed hadn't anticipated. Before Mike could respond, Reed slid a folder across the desk. It contained an opportunity, a partnership to help launch a new initiative aimed at supporting struggling families. A project Reed had been planning but couldn't trust anyone to lead. Mike's life, his stability, and even his daughter's future suddenly seemed within reach. Relief washed over him. But just as he began to breathe, his phone buzzed. A new message appeared. "You passed the first test. Now the real challenge begins." Mike looked up, realizing that while the immediate danger had passed, the story wasn't over. His life had changed forever. But the next twist was already waiting, one that would push him further than he ever imagined. In the weeks that followed, Mike began adjusting to a life he never imagined. The partnership with Jonathan Reed grew steadily, giving him not only financial stability, but a sense of purpose he had been missing since becoming a single dad. Every day, he balanced work with the simple joys of raising his daughter, homework, bedtime stories, and weekend adventures, knowing that he had found a way to provide for her without losing himself. Mike also realized how much the experience had changed him. He had learned to trust his instincts, make tough decisions under pressure, and embrace opportunities that seemed impossible at first. The chance encounter at the gym, once terrifying, had become a turning point, reminding him that life can change in an instant. If you are ready to act with courage and integrity. Even the mysterious messages faded, replaced by respect and understanding between him and Reed. But Mike knew the lessons would stay with him forever. Life is unpredictable. Challenges can appear out of nowhere, and sometimes, the most ordinary people can rise to meet extraordinary circumstances. As he watched his daughter laugh in the sunlight, Mike smiled, realizing that his life had transformed, and not just by chance, but by the choices he made when everything was on the line. The future was uncertain, but he was ready.